Hey team, today I want to continue on with our journey at getting better at the command line. And specifically, when we left off in the previous video, I had touched very briefly on this curl command. Curl, again, I say here, curl isn't scary, but it has a lot of options. I would compare it kind of to Git in the way that a lot of people feel a little bit of stress around it, right? It's built to do a lot of different stuff, just like Git. And ultimately, you can get away with maybe just a handful of commands that will get the job done, especially in my line of work, which is web development, okay? If you're in a different line of work, maybe you need different features, but that's the beauty of it, is that you don't need to know everything. You just need to know the handful of commands that will get you 90% of the way there. And so today I want to touch on that. Now, I left off with this command right here, which allows us to get the Alice in Wonderland text. So way up here, inside of files, I actually had Alice in Wonderland, okay? I already had that for this example. Now over in here, I'm already in my learning folder, so I'm going to make a directory called curl. Okay, this seems like a good one just to get it done. And I'm going to cd into that folder, okay? Now there's nothing in here, which is right where we want to be, okay? LA, just in case you're wondering, LA is a shortcut for ls-la something, okay? It's an alias, okay? So if you see me use that, that's what that is. Little side note. But we are in this folder, okay? And we can trigger that curl request. And what does it do? Well, it pulls down all of the text. This is the full Alice in Wonderland text as used, as distributed by Project Gutenberg. Because Alice in Wonderland is in the public domain, they're able to do that and make it happen. I think they have a bit in here where there's a bit of a thing at the end, but it's public domain. So in theory, we can use it for training purposes, okay? We should not be pulling it down to repackage it and sell it. That is absolutely not the point of that, but we can, okay? Now, I did bring up this command. We could send it to alice.text, just like this, and it will go and do the thing. You'll notice that in this case, that actually gave us a little bit of a thing where it showed how big the file is. So again, if we list out the file, we'll see that it is that big, and we can go and open that into VS Code. And here is Alice in Wonderland. Okay, really cool stuff. I'm going to bump this up because we're going to come back to this, not specifically this file, but others. Okay, we can do some other things. So as an example, if we go back to this Git repo or any Git repo, you might remember a couple videos ago where I said, just download the zip, okay? And if I right click and copy that link, I can do that with curl. So right here, I could curl that file just like this, and in theory, it would download. Now we do need a couple little extra bits in here, so this is actually going to do nothing. And the reason that it's going to do nothing is because of the way that GitHub works. Okay, this isn't something to do with curl. This is the way that GitHub works. And so we can test it by adding a flag, our first flag of the day, which is -big I, okay, capital I. Now, capital I is going to give us some information. It gives us a whole lot of information because I'm zoomed in, but you can see right at the top, it gives us a 302. And a 302 is a redirect, right? We want this to be some sort of a 200 for a status code, okay? So a 302 is a redirect, and it actually goes to location. Now you'll see this URL here is very similar, but not quite the same. It's a codeload.github.com. Then it has my name and the thing. Instead of archive, it says zip. There's refs, there's head, there's main, right? and this one finishes with .zip. So behind the scenes, GitHub is redirecting us to this, and curl by itself doesn't follow redirects. We have to tell it to do that. So let's do it one more time right up here. Okay. And for this, we're going to switch to -L. The capital L is for location. Okay. It's going to follow that location. So it's going to scream at me right now because, hey, I'm trying to download a zip file, and a zip file by itself is binary information, which curl is trying to save us from ourselves, right? Flooding our terminal with all that binary information. We don't want to do that. So we should probably use output. We could output to standard output. Please don't. It's a hot mess. Okay. But we can go and do that with --output. Or if you wanted to, you could just do -O. They are the same thing. And then give it a name. Okay. My preference is not to name it the same as this because main.zip is kind of useless, right? So maybe we go shell manip.zip, okay? Just like that. And again, it downloads. So we can see that now I have that zip folder, and I could go about unzipping it, right? I could go in here and go -xvf, just like this. And now I have all of that good stuff from the previous video, okay? So we can do that. Now, are we going to do this on a regular basis? Probably not, but it's nice that it's there, right? Like hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to go and remove this folder just as a matter of practice because I don't want it in there, okay? I don't mind the zip file being in there, but I don't want it to get too busy. So I remove that. We only have these two things. Now, normally what we'll do is we will hit APIs, right? At least that's what I do, right? I'm a web developer. So hitting APIs, whether they're REST or GraphQL, that's kind of my main jam, right? And so way over here in the browser, I have one called Advice Slip. And what Advice Slip does is it gives you a few endpoints in here, but we're only going to use this first one. And if I click on this, API adviceslip.com/advice, okay, I should be able to get some advice. In this case, YOLO. Brilliant. Okay, if I wait a few seconds and I hit refresh, a common regret in life is wishing one hadn't worked so hard. That is true. I don't know if that's advice so much as a statement of fact, but there it is. Okay. Now I can do this in the terminal. So I can copy this URL, okay, copy it to my clipboard, go back, hit curl, paste it in, and get pretty much the exact same thing, okay? Place a rubber band on a jar that's hard to open. Makes sense to me, right? That's some good stuff. We can do it again and get a different piece of advice. Not all of these pieces of advice are good, but it's kind of a cool API, and we can do that, okay? So the first question becomes, if I can do it here, if I can do it in the browser, right, then why wouldn't I do it in the browser? And the key is that the browser, if we go and open this up and hit refresh so that we can actually see the magic happen, okay, we want this advice, and you will see that the method is get. Now, we have many different kinds of methods for sending requests. We have post for sending data from a form or to create something new in the database. We have put and patch, which update pieces of information in the database. And then we have delete, which can exactly that. It can delete stuff from the database, right? And we can't really do that from the browser, okay? Now we can use apps for this, okay? So way over here, we have Postman, and you will hear Postman mentioned a lot in your career as a web developer, okay? Because it's used everywhere. I think Google owns it, or at least they used to. And it is a tool that allows you to send requests. So here's an example going on. It's sending a post request, doing some stuff. Apparently they're sending a comment for some reason. Interesting stuff. And then when you fire that request, you will get back some other data. Okay. And that post can be, you can see some other ones in here for delete and patch and get, right? You can do stuff in here. Another one that I've used for a long time is Insomnia. Okay. Insomnia is very similar where, if I can find an example here, similar thing where you can send a request and get back that data. Okay. Just like that. I used Insomnia a lot because it was one of the first to support GraphQL, right? So you can actually do GraphQL from Insomnia. I think you can from Postman now, but a long time ago you couldn't. It was only for REST, okay? So again, it has a nice interface. You can do different methods in here, fire off that stuff, and get your response, right? Cool stuff. And then the new kid on the block is Bruno, and they also do the same thing. So very similar interface, right? Where you have your API, your endpoint. You can select your method, send through some data, and get stuff back, right? And all these are like really solid for what they do, but they all have the exact same thing, which is they cost money, right? They all cost money. So up here, going to pricing way over here. They do have a free tier, but be careful because if you're doing professional work, each and every one of these is a no-go. You have to pay something for it, okay? So in this case, small teams of 3 or less, right? You can do that. I don't know of too much professional work that is small teams of 3 or less, unless maybe you're a contractor. Insomnia has something called a hobby tier, right? That does not sound professional, so you probably want to pay for it. And even Bruno, right? I love Bruno. I love the idea of Bruno saving those files down and you being able to commit them with your repo, which we'll talk a little bit more in a second. But it's only free for open source, okay? If you're doing professional work, you should be paying for it, okay? The other problems that I have with these are something that I hinted at with Bruno being able to save files down. So Postman and Insomnia have in recent times gone to a cloud-based system, okay? Anytime you're storing stuff in the cloud, think that's someone else's computer because that's exactly what it is, right? You are storing stuff on someone else's computer. And for some of the clients that I've worked for, they don't like that. They don't like the idea of putting it on a computer that they don't control. So I have in recent times not been allowed to use this. Bruno very nicely saves locally, which means that you can commit them, which leads to the next problem, which is in order to send these files around, everybody has to be on the same system, okay? Even if you're exporting from Postman or Insomnia, you need a way to share that. And I don't feel like sharing it through Slack is a good plan, right? So Bruno is probably the best of these apps, I think. But at the same time, it means that everybody has to use Bruno, right? There's no way around it. If you want to use those endpoints, you have to use the same app. And not everybody wants to use the same app. I get that, right? That's a thing. So there are lots of good points for using apps, but also not some not great points, right? And I feel like we can do better with curl. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to explore curl a little bit more. We're going to find out the handful of commands that will get you 90% of the way there. And then we are going to find a way to quickly script it in a way where we can just send that along with our repo and anybody could use it potentially, so long as they are using the terminal too. That's going to be the one catch, and I can't change that, right? Just like Git, if you want to get strong at Git, you probably want to start using the terminal. If you want to get strong at testing APIs, you probably want to learn a little bit of curl, and that is what this video is about. So moving on, we are going to use Fake Store API, okay? FakeStoreAPI.com. And it is exactly that. It supplies you with some data for products, right? You can get all the products or a single product. Nice thing about this is that you can add new products and update products. It doesn't actually update anything. Okay. It's not changing the database. It's just mirroring that information back to you. But it's really nice that it lets you post and put and patch and delete. Okay. You can send those methods and test them with your data. Okay. So it's a really good way to play around, and we can do that right now. So let's get all those products right here. Copy it. Going over, we are going to do exactly that. Okay, we're going to send it, and it's going to give us all of that information. Now, it's a bit of a hot mess, right? If you have the JQ command, you could totally send that through JQ, and it will look a little bit nicer. If you don't, then you're stuck with what you got. Okay. Now you'll notice that right here, if we go back, okay, and I scroll up, it didn't send through it, or sorry, it only sent the data. But if I scroll way, way up to the top of this, there's only 20 in here, so it shouldn't take long. There it is. When I pipe it to something else, then it does this bit. I'm not really excited about that. This feels very noisy to me. There are times where you might want that for like a really long download. You want to see how much is complete. But if you don't like that, okay, then you can -s it, okay, right here as a flag, and -s is for silent. So again, we fire it out. We're not going to see anything here, but that's really nice. Okay. Now, what kind of request is this? Okay. The request that I'm firing right now is a get, right? The hint is in the name over here. Get all products. Okay. So this would be exactly the same as sending --request get. And for this one, it does have to be capital. It's very interesting. So this is going to do the exact same thing. If I went back and did this as lowercase, it screams as a bad request. I'm not sure if all APIs do that, but this one definitely does. Okay. So get used to capitalizing your requests. And then this just works. Great. Now this is the default, but I strongly encourage you to get used to always adding your method, because later on we can script this and we might have this in some sort of a shell function. Function is the word I'm looking for, where we send in the request, right? We send it over and do the thing, okay? We can also shorten this. So instead of request, we can go -X, which does the exact same thing, okay? Brilliant. I want to start saving these requests because we're going to do something in a bit. So I'm going to teach you a quick shortcut here, which is echo --, okay? Now, for me, I don't know if this happens everywhere, but when I hit the spacebar, it expands that. If yours doesn't expand, that's okay, because that -- is going to take the previous command, just like you're seeing here, and do stuff with it, okay? Very popular to sudo -- if you forgot to add the sudo command. So very helpful there. But in this case, we're going to echo that command into a file called requests.sh, okay? So we hit that, nothing changes, but if we go back to our code editor, we're going to see a request right here, okay? Which is really, really nice. We can start saving these. We're going to pile them up for a few seconds, and then we're going to learn how to script this, okay? So if I wanted to get a single product, right, it's just the ID on the end. So we can totally do that. Right here, I go up and I hit, say, product 2. And now I get just that first product, okay? Men's casual premium slim fit t-shirts. Very, very wordy, but there it is. Again, echo -- into request. The space doesn't matter, at least for me. Requests.sh, there it is. And now I have both of those requests, which is good, okay? Let's try a different method, okay? And for a different method, we need some data, okay? So over here, we might add a new product. Now they already have one, okay? I'm gonna go and grab this for a second, just like this, and paste it right here, okay? What it needs is it needs JSON. So currently this is JavaScript, right? In order to get there, we need this, okay? We're gonna shortcut that right here. Excellent, and this one, brilliant, okay? So we have our JSON data. No, we don't, sorry. We need these, okay, to also be double quoted. So let's go and get that. We're gonna back it out, double quotes. Now we have our JSON data, okay? I can comment that out for a second because now we need this. And you'll see that they actually have the method as post. Brilliant. So right here, it's just products. We can go and do that right like this. We back this part out. We change get to be post, again, all capitals. And at the end, we send dash dash data, okay? Now in single quotes, because JSON uses double quotes, so we have to alternate them. In single quotes, we can go and paste our code. So I can copy this, comment it back out so it's still available, paste it in, and send it, okay? Something very interesting has happened here, okay? We got ID 21, which is good because there's only 20 items in the fake store API. But I didn't get the data that I was expecting. I should have got all of this plus that ID. And there's a problem here in that we didn't tell it what kind of ID or what kind of data we were sending, okay? Because we didn't tell it what kind of data we were sending, it didn't use our data. It just sent back the ID, right? This would be exactly the same as going here, going to the end all the way, and getting rid of a lot of this. Could have done this a faster way, I think, but right here, same thing, okay? So we didn't send any data, and in the first case, we sent data that it doesn't know what to do with, okay? This is where we need something called a header. So right here, I'm gonna jump back up, and before the URL, I'm gonna add dash dash header, okay? And then again, in single quotes, just like this, inside of there, I'm going to add application type, content type. Content type. Now, this doesn't really need to be capitalized, but I've gotten so used to capitalizing it that I do it all the time, okay? Whenever you see it in a response, it'll usually be capitalized. So I've just taken to doing that. I stay with convention, okay? The application type is, what is it? Application / JSON, okay? So we've sent that information. We've told it what kind of data it should expect. And now if we hit this, we get a very different response. That response is everything that we sent plus that ID, which is a more, in my mind, a more traditional post response, okay? I would expect a lot of the same things that I sent, unless it was documented different, okay? This is a good request right here. So we can send it out. Let's do that. Echo this one all the way to request.sh, okay? So I should have that right over, let's close that. I forgot to save it. It should be in here. Excellent, okay? I accidentally lost my data, but that's okay. Another thing that you'll see here is it actually blows out the quotes. So we need to go and add some quotes here. And if we go to the end, all the way down, whoops, come on, do it right. Right here, there, okay? If this is getting a little bit long, that's okay. You can actually send these around by doing a \return, okay? I recommend tabbing it in just so that it still keeps that highlighting, but you absolutely can /return, /return. And that way everything is nice and tidy. In fact, I can go and copy this into here and it all still works. Okay, it's not a problem to have those backslashes in there. That's a way of continuing it, right? It's escaping that return. Okay. So again, our IDs are going to be the same every single time because it does not update a real database. It's just mirroring that information back. If we were using this for real, we would expect to get different IDs every time, and it should return different IDs every time. This is not the way that this API works, okay? Okay, so we have this. We're over here and we have a bunch of different responses, but this feels very long to me, right? We have multiple lines with this information here. Wouldn't it be cool if we could take this and store it somewhere where we could just reuse it over and over? And the truth is, we can, okay? So right here, we're going to go data, okay? And inside of data, we're going to add a new file called post product. Sure, product post product. Could be either way, okay? We paste it in, it's all highlighting really nice, it's registering as JSON, and we can save that. Now, how do we use this? Well, back to our request, okay? We can, I'm going to save this, so I'm going to copy and hide it. And down here, instead of all of this data, I'm going to send through something after the @ sign. The @ sign tells curl that this is going to be a file. So I could go data / post product. Come on, do it right. Post product.json. Okay. And now I should be able to take this, put it in here, and it still works, which is really nice because now we can start to send data and get data back. Okay. So at this point we have a lot of good stuff. Let's, I don't think I need to save that one because I already have it, but we should probably look at getting this into a shell script, okay? Because as much as I like capturing these and copy and pasting them into the terminal, that's not really great, okay? So I'm going to move this into a makefile. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on the makefile because I've already done a whole video on that. So go and review that. But at the same time, I am going to build this out. So I'm going to copy this into a new file called makefile, okay? Paste it in, excellent. There are a lot of things in here, but we can do this pretty quickly. So this is, what is it? Well, it is get products, okay? Let's actually change it to products.get, okay, with a colon, and get all products because commenting is good, okay? We push this in a little bit, excellent. Product get, okay, get a single product, just like this. Boost it over, and if we go down, we have all of this, and we can product post, right? That's what we're doing. Product post. Okay, it's a little bit hard to read when it's when I'm zoomed in this much, but product post, create a new product. And notice that we didn't really have to change anything, okay? It's all still just working, which is great. All of our backslashes still work. Everything is still there. We don't really need this one anymore. We can get rid of that, making it very, very concise, okay? So now, if I go make product get, I should get that, that thing, right? Just one product, which is good. If I do the same thing, but post, I get that thing, which is awesome. And the cool thing about this is that I also have access to the command. So if the command is not working, I could copy and paste this into a bug report, okay? Which means that the backend team or whoever is supporting the REST API can use my curl script to debug what's going on. Or they can tell me that, hey, silly, you forgot the application JSON header, right? At which point I go, oh yeah, I totally did. And then I could go and update my command to make that work, okay? So this is really, really nice. If you want to hide that, you absolutely can. If you remember from the video, we can just go ampersand, 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 just like this. Excellent, okay? And all is good. So now it will go silent, right? Just returning the information inside of there. Now, building it out even faster, we want to duplicate this. And this one is going to be a put, okay? Just like this. And because we're here, let's go and do the same thing for patch, okay? So update product with put, just so we can see the difference. Update a product with patch, okay? Because there's an important difference. Normally we wouldn't do both. Most systems will ask you to do one or the other, but this system does allow for both. So let's do that just so that we can see it. This is going to be a put method. And then we need the ID again. And this is going to be put product, okay? And right here, this is going to be a capital patch. Spell it right, there it is. And patch product, okay? We need a product that we can update. So let's go and do that, okay? We know that it's number 2, right here, number 2 as well, okay? So what we're gonna do is get that. Let's get that, and I'm going to take it into PB copy, okay? Which means that now it's in my clipboard, into my data, new file as a put dash product, okay, dot JSON, okay? And one more time, paste it in. We can actually format this. Oh, I did it wrong. Let's try it one more time. Format, there it is, okay? Why is there never a duplicate in here? That hurts my feelings. That's okay. But we can copy all of this right here, new file, patch product, .json. I am hovering over stuff, so it's hard to see. Paste it in, excellent. Now, the difference between a put and a patch, okay? At least the way that it was explained to me. Technically, there are no rules here, okay? Anyone that tells you that there are very specific rules to REST, it's not entirely true, okay? There is no REST standard. REST is a thing that we've all agreed to, okay? So it's almost a standard by proxy, but there's no one over there. There's no REST police saying, oh, you're using it wrong. You could actually send a put command to create a new product. Should you? Absolutely not, but you can, okay? So the way that it's been explained to me is that put, you should send everything. So this can be Min's business premium slim t-shirts, right? Like this. And patch, you could actually get rid of everything except the title and go professional. Oh, professional premium slim shirts, okay? So in theory, a patch means that you're doing a surgical replace on data, okay? You're going to take whatever is in here, add it to the data that exists, and you should get back the whole object. Now with Fake Store API, it doesn't do this. It only ever mirrors. So it's not going to be what we expect, but we can still see it, okay? So hopefully we can go make product put, and we will get Min's business, okay? We also get everything else in here, but the title of item 2 has changed. Now, if we do that exact same thing with patch, We don't quite get that, okay? And to make it even more clear, if you were doing this for real, this should return the entire object, I think, okay? Or at least some sort of a status code to say, yes, it's been updated, you're good. Whereas if you only send the patch data to a put, it would actually delete everything else. So you need to be very careful with that. That's where you have those really good conversations with your backend team to make sure that everything is exactly where it needs to be. Okay. Make sure that you're sending the right requests with the right shape of data so that you aren't mucking up the database. Okay. Again, you should be doing this on a sample database anyway. Never work on production, please. Just don't. That's just madness. Okay. Don't do it. But now we have all of these. We can go one more. So back into closing this down, back into our makefile. We grab this, copy it down. This one is delete and capital letters, delete. Ooh, spell it right. Why can I not spell right? Delete a product. Okay. There it is. Down here, we don't have any data, which means that we can get rid of that. We're going to delete number 2. Okay. Technically, we're not because it doesn't delete anything, but we should be able to see this work. Right here, delete, and it returns. Okay. So in this case, it returns everything. In my experience with APIs, when you delete, you generally just get the ID, or you get, I think it's a 204, right? No response, which means that everything worked, but I don't have anything to tell you. Okay. So this is a lot of data for a delete, but that's what it's doing. Okay. Excellent. So we have a very good system, and we could commit this file along with the data files, and anybody could use this, right? Anybody can jump into the terminal, run that make command so long as it's installed. It's my understanding that maybe for Windows you will have to install it, but for Mac systems, for Unix and Linux, it's probably already installed, so you're probably in a really good place. Okay. Now, right off the bat, we do have something of interest here, okay, especially with these other ones, where it is almost impossible that you wouldn't send some form of auth, okay, authorization, some sort of a login or a cookie or something like that. curl can handle all of it, okay. In this case, we do have access to, right at the bottom, a way to log in, okay. So we're going to go and grab this data, copy it, and make a new data file called login.json. Okay. It's going to scream because this needs to be capitalized. Stop jumping around. This needs to be capitalized. Everything else is okay. We are in good shape, which means that now we can run that command, right? That command is a post, and we have the login. Okay. So technically, we can jump down to the bottom just like this and grab our post. So we are starting to reuse some of this code, right? We have found the shape of our curl request that we're going to use over and over and over again. Okay. So paste it in. I'm going to call this login. Okay. Just like this. Login user. Okay. It's a post. The URL needs to change, so we go and copy that, paste it in, and change the data to login. Okay. This goes away. Brilliant. At this point, we can correct my spelling mistake and give it a try. So over here, right here, it is login. And we're going to get back this crazy amount of information. Now, this is a JWT or a JWT, depending on how you pronounce it, okay? And JWTs are a secure piece of data that can be compared against. In the first bit, right, you'll see some periods in here. right there, right there. The first bit tells it what kind of encryption it is. The second bit has some information like the user ID and the username. Very handy stuff. Not always. It depends on your on how you set this up. But if we were to go and experiment with this, we would see that this one has username and ID. And then this, the last part, is a public token. So this is what's going to be compared against to make sure that it's a valid token. Okay. So that's great. We have this. I can go and copy this just like this. And if I was being truly silly, I could go right here, go -- header, or if you wanted the short version, capital H. And then inside of here, we do authorization. Come on, do it right. Okay. And it is going to be bearer, that whole thing, just like this. Okay. So we are sending what's called a bearer token. Okay. That's another name for it. But ultimately, this is a JWT, which is being decoded. Technically, this won't do anything for us. You'll see that in a second. But in a real life scenario, you absolutely want to send this. Okay. We're going to go over here. We're going to set up that thing, which is product post. Okay. I did something wrong because I forgot the \. Brilliant. Okay. That's my bad. Try it one more time. Excellent. Everything still works. Now, again, this doesn't really mean anything. So I could, in fact, take this right here and just go secret, right? It's just ignoring it. But in real life, you absolutely want to do that. Now, what's the problem? Okay, the problem is that now I'm about to commit a key here, and I don't think that's safe. So we want to move this key out to what's called a .env file, which never gets committed. Okay, so we could, in fact, take that, go over here, create a new file, .env. Let's call it JWT, all capitals, and paste it in. Excellent. Okay. We don't need to do anything else. It's all just there. How do we get it in? Okay. How do we get that information in here? Okay. It should be a $parentheses JWT, just like this. We can do that. And then up here, we're going to add some stuff. Okay. And what that is we're going to test if not equals, let's do it, not equals, and we're going to send through some information. So this separates arguments. So we're comparing undefined to whatever we're about to find, which is $wildcard. This one's a bit tricky for me. Why can I not do it? Wildcard. And the wildcard is going to go and see if something exists in the real world. Okay. So it's that env file. Excellent. If it, we also need to end it. There it is. If it does exist, right? So if it's not undefined, if it exists, then we can include it. Okay. So we can totally do that. Env, just like this, save it, and everything should just work. Okay. In fact, if we uncomment that, so, or get rid of the @ symbol, we should be able to see that it is firing with that secret. Okay. So now we're in a good place where we can totally have our secrets and include them. Now we can do other things like this variable here. We can go and copy that, put it right up here as URL, all capitals, and paste it in. And then right here, we get this part, which is this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and all of those. Excellent. Again, $parentheses and URL. Okay. So this command should still just work. It totally does. Excellent. We are in really good shape, right? At this point, we could go further. Okay. There are things that we've done. We've been very good at commenting. So if we wanted to, we could go and grab that script. So again, what is it? Self-documenting makefile. I've done it a couple times. And right at the bottom, we go and grab help, right? Oh, we didn't add any of our phony stuff either, okay? So I'm totally skipping some steps, but that's okay. Right here, everything still works. This technically is going to fail, and I'll show you how, okay? So let's go make help, and it just says makefile, okay? And the reason for that is because we added that .env, okay? The makefile list also includes .env, which is kind of messing us up, okay? It really is, but we can fix that really fast. So we go and copy that out right to the front, and we're going to concatenate them together. Excellent. So now we should be able to get that information. Very, very nice, okay? What else could we do? Well, what couldn't we do, right? We haven't added our defaults, right? If you go and watch the other video, you'll know that I have a default which calls into help when we get a failure, right? Right now, if we do this right here, okay, it's gonna throw an error and say, hey, that doesn't exist. Not so great, but at the very least, it's there, okay? So we could go and start adding some of those features in, which I would totally do, except this video is getting kind of long in the tooth, or at least just long, maybe not long in the tooth. But let's review what we've done here today, okay? We started out by learning about curl, okay? And again, we learned the handful or the basic structure of the command that will let us get 90% of the way there for API testing. So we can figure out how to do gets, how to do posts, how to do puts, patches, deletes, more of them, right? If we wanted to log in and do stuff, how to send data, always very important, right? And then we took all of that and moved it into a makefile, which is very, very simple, right? It's if I have a very simple setup, this is what I would do. I wouldn't spend too much time noodling on it, right? Because I want to get to work. Again, I would add in a few of those other features that I did in my previous make video, but I'm running out of time and I don't want to waste yours. So that's where we are, okay? We have a very nice setup, a little bit of help. We could keep working on this a little bit and getting further and further and just make it really, really powerful, okay? Are there ways to improve this? Absolutely, okay? As an example, make tends to get a little bit harder if we start to break some of these features. Like we have a lot of repeating code. If this was set up here, right here, just like this, and all the way through, if I went and did that, it's not lining up, but if I went and added that, you'll see a lot of repeating code, right? Other than the endpoint and the data, this is duplicated several times, okay? We should be able to clean that up. And make, at least my level of understanding for make, makes that very tricky, okay? So in a future video, we are going to cover two more things. We're going to cover how to do GraphQL, which is amazing because if you think that this has a lot of duplication, wait until you see that. That's pretty interesting. But it also comes with its own interesting challenges. So we're going to look at that, and we're going to look at another way to break this file out in a way that I feel is more easy to maintain. Okay, so that's coming. For now, this is it. This is how I've started avoiding the need for things like Postman and Insomnia and Use Bruno, right? Which are awesome apps, but again, the features of them, the features included in them, well, they're all right here, right? I'm able to do all that stuff right here. And if I need to copy and paste this over to a backender or something like that, I absolutely can, right? So it all still works, which is really nice. Did you find something interesting here? Did you find something surprising? Was it easy? Was it hard? Are you going to give up your app? I guess is the big question. Let me know in the comments. And then please watch out for that next one, because that's going to cover off GraphQL and a different way to set up our script file. Good times ahead. Until then, have a good day, and I will see you in the next one.